Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7, and today we are taking a look at the Artisan Cutlery Baskin, and that's with the ultimate goal of seeing if it's worth adding to your collection or your daily rotation. Now, this came by way of Blade Alchemy. He's a fellow YouTuber and friend of the channel. This will go back to him. I do not get to keep it. And this was designed by Michael Gavko of Gavko Knives, and the OEM on this knife is Artisan Cutlery. So jumping right into it, a pretty simple layout. We do have milling on the scales, basically just diagonal lines. Looks really good. We have plain satin hardware. We have a deep carry milled titanium pocket clip. It's got good retention, goes in and out of the pocket pretty easy. We have a single standoff, an external lock bar relief cut, and that is about it. Nothing crazy. Let's talk about the ergonomics. So we've got two ways we can hold this, choked up and not choked up. I could say that these points are rounded so they don't poke into your hand at all. And I get a full 4-finger grip. I can hammer fist it. I've got a nice spot to set my thumb right up here. So it's comfortable. And not the absolute most ergonomic in this position, just because these recommendation points, like, they're not, these aren't sharp, but it doesn't really lend itself. It's like, did you want 2 fingers up here because they don't quite fit, and 2 fingers back here, that doesn't quite fit. So it's not not hot spots, but it just feels a little awkward in hand. Now, if I come up here to the choked up position, which I think is where you're supposed to be, then my middle finger gets all this room here, and then my back 2 fingers get all this room here. And now this is ergonomic. This feels really good. Pocket clip disappears in my hand. I can still use my thumb back here on this mini poon. And I have this nice recurve to pull me into cuts. I can also pinch grip. And this is an all-day pinch grip. I'm in total control. I can do any precision cuts I need to, any draw cuts I need to, and I can do it with this secondary tip. But it wouldn't be hard for me to come up and do it with the primary tip either. So while unconventional, utilizing this choke up spot takes this knife from being a little awkward to being very serviceable. Now, jumping over and taking a look at the blade, there's a lot going on here. We have I'm going to say Tonto for sure. You could argue it's kind of like a spear point, but that language doesn't follow through the entire blade. So that's why I'm going to go with Tonto, because we for sure have the 2 tips here. And we do have a compound grind. Both of them are flat. And then we have a recurve. So definitely not going to be the easiest blade to sharpen. I imagine most people will sharpen this secondary tip out. And definitely not the most utilitarian blade shape there ever was. But, if you're looking for something a little spicy, a little bit different, this could definitely be that for you. We are rocking S90V for the blade steel. So it's definitely a premium blade steel. It's going to have good edge retention, good corrosion resistance. Not going to be the toughest steel. But overall, S90V is a solid performer. I will say, so you have this pulling you into cuts, right? And then whenever you exit this, you have a nice straight line to kind of finish your cut out with. So I think the recurve is going to get you nice and deep into your cut. And then I think the straight line is going to be fine for exiting the cut. So I could just kind of imagine like cut, 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 and then you hit this secondary tip, and then you kind of, because this is angled upward, you kind of skate right out of the cut. So I've only cut packages with tape. I haven't really cut boxes with it. So that is something I'll end up testing. But I could see how that might be beneficial. Oh, and then we do have a nice stone wash on the blade, which I think looks really good. All right, let's talk about the action. Now, the action on this knife is fine. My only hang-up, and I will say this, I think this knife has an incredibly handsome profile. I love the way this looks, because if you know anything about Gavko, his designs they can be pretty out there. And I think the Baskin captures Gavko's style very, very well. So I'm in love with the way this knife looks in the closed profile. I like it in the open profile too, but I think this is particularly handsome. Now, as far as the action goes, on the way out, feels good. It's got a lot of lock bar tension, but the deployment is easy. There's some solid acoustics on the way out. The only thing that gets me is that if you look, we're at like 80% lockup. So there's a lot of tension in this lock bar. And it actually is a little hard. It's not hard to disengage, but with how thin this piece of, with how thin this titanium is, and they don't give you a ton of access, it's rather pinchy closing it. Not a huge fan of that. Now, on the bright side, though, this is an easy fix. If this was my knife, the first thing I would do is disassemble it, take out the over travel stop, and then I would actually bend the lock bar. I would actually bend it out slightly, and that would still leave me with similar action, but it would give me a lot less tension on the way down. Now, I can't say for sure if this would be hydraulic or not, but I can say that, you know, I feel like it would come really close. Maybe the blade's not heavy enough. Oh, sorry for the shake. Maybe the blade's not heavy enough, but I think loosening the lock bar and putting some lube in there on the bearings would go a really long way for this knife. But the action on the deployment is great. The acoustics are great. It's just the way on the way down where the action kind of suffers a little bit. But that can be pretty easily fixed. All right, let's talk about some specs. Overall, we're at 7.09 inches with a blade length of 2.95 inches and a blade to handle ratio of 0.71. So we're literally sitting right there at the bottom of what is an acceptable blade to handle ratio. And they did leave a criminal amount of room. They could have easily taken that blade deeper. Even if it was just like a 1/4 inch, they did have plenty of room to do that. All right, let's do some size comparisons. First up, the milled aluminum Civivi Brazen. It is the 3rd best Civivi knife ever made, second only to the Visions. And we're going to do the real steel Sylph. So we're coming in very similar to the real steel Sylph, and we're coming in about 1.25 inches smaller than the milled aluminum Civivi Brazen. The Gotov is still missing in action, so we have the Big Idea Design Overlook, and we are coming in about 1.5 inches bigger than the Overlook. All right, so what's the price on this bad boy? This can be found at most retailers for $199.99. White Mountain Knives, you would get it for like $180 with the 10% off. Code S7 gets you 10% off everything at White Mountain Knives, minus the excluded stuff. Do I think it's worth it? Well, that depends, because this knife has put a lot more points into style than it has just raw utility. So if you're looking for a, hard user, maximum functionality, then this knife is not for you. However, if you want to spend, say, $200 and you want something that's got some personality, something that has aspects of a custom, then I would say, yeah, this knife is a great choice because it has a ton of character. There is not another knife that looks like this knife. Normally at $200, what I find is that people are looking for more utility, but a little bit of spice, whereas this is like 60% spice, 40% utility. You know what I'm saying? So I recommend this for the type of person that wants a more interesting knife as opposed to a more utilitarian knife. For somebody that's already in this price range shopping around. Now keep in mind there's a ton of competition at $200, right? A metric ton. So if this isn't for you, you can definitely find something for $200. My favorite knife at $200 currently is the Exceed Designs Avere, and that is pretty much maximum utility and just a little bit of zest. So if you're the type of person that does want something that is striking and minimal at the same time, that will still do your EDC stuff, then this knife right here is going to be a great pickup for you. But if you don't care for the design of it and you want something more utility focused, then I would recommend the Exceed Designs Avere. Now, for me, $200 is fair considering it's titanium and S90V. I think at $180, it's a heck of a deal. So, I do think the knife is worth the money, but it's for very specific customers. This isn't just a blind recommendation. And I think that if you look at this knife, like, you know who you are. Like, as soon as you see this knife, it's either a love it or hate it type of thing. And if you love it, then definitely get it. But if you don't, then you have plenty of other options to check out. Now, this would be a daily carry for me, provided I found enough functionality in the blade, which I have so far for like Amazon packages and stuff like that. But provided it served all my needs, I like the way it looks quite a bit. So for me, this would be a daily carry. But let me ask you, is this something that would make it to your collection, or would you put this in your daily carry rotation? Or did this knife just completely miss the mark for you? Whatever the answer is, let me know down in the comments. I'd be interested to see what you guys think. And if you found this video useful, hit the like button. Please don't forget to subscribe. Until the next time, guys. Peace.